Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Pooh, and welcome back to a year of change, and we are hitting day 151. Yes, I'm changing the intro because it doesn't feel natural anymore. Just sort of a little robotic. Well, we discussed this before. Anyway, I might go back. I don't know, but I need some consistency. But this is pretty much going to be it. Today is going to be a little bit different than, well, I keep saying that, like a lot. Today is going to be different. Throughout this week, we've sort of deviated from a lot of stuff that we normally do. But in keeping with sort of the topic on Monday, I wanted to sort of touch on something else that, as of late anyway, the past couple of years, has gotten quite a bit of press. In one of these, again, superfoods. Now, I know that we did, a couple of weeks ago, we sort of did, instead of doing a regular snack thing or food thing, we did popcorn, where it was really, really bad for, well, the way that I cook it anyway was really, really bad. We've done a couple of things like that before, namely kale. Won't get into kale again. But in general, it's just sort of that overall, actually, I don't know if Monday was part of that or not. Anyway, the overall idea that there are some superfoods out there that you can eat that are, miraculously going to change things. Yeah, actually, that wasn't Monday at all. Monday was different. Monday was fresh and processed. Anyway, so one of the things over the past couple of years that people are sort of clamoring to, because it's one of those things that, just like sort of a magic pill, not precisely a magic pill, but that same sort of thing that people are going, oh my God, this is great news, and that is chocolate. I'm going to make some enemies on this one. I know I am. A lot of people that are going and they're saying, oh, well, chocolate's actually good for you because it has flavonoids and it has antioxidant properties and it does this, and this. I've seen everything from people saying that it prevents cancer. Yes, cancer. Right up to heart disease and just a whole slew of different things. And of course, generally speaking, you're probably going, but dark chocolate is better. Because they say, well, dark chocolate has 7 times as many as, milk chocolate. Which is true, but 7 times shit is shit. So, it doesn't really hold a lot of water. Anyway, basically, what had happened was, just like the study that we did last week, or that we saw last week, the original concept of that, of chocolate being really, really healthy for you, actually comes from a small tribe in Panama. I think it's Panama. Yes, anyway. And what they found was that these people were eating, a tremendous amount of cocoa. So it was something like 4 or 5 cups every single day, and they had very, very low blood pressure. So, of course, they, said, well, obviously that's what it is. It's the only thing that's really different in their diet. They eat a tremendous amount of cocoa, so that must be it. So chocolate must be good for you, and so they started looking at it and saying, well, these are the benefits and everything else. However, much like we discussed last week, this was the research itself was funded by, get ready for it, no, not Coke, that wouldn't make any sense, by Mars. Yes, like Mars Bar Mars, the chocolate company. They funded it. So of course, once people found out, then they were like, let's go in, take a closer look and see what we can find. So they went in and they did another study. And it wasn't so much the fact that they looked at it and went, no, it's completely made up, it's all bullshit. It was more along the lines of, these people aren't actually eating a tremendous amount of cocoa. They have it available to them, but they aren't eating, or they aren't drinking 4 or 5 cups a day each. So that connection really wasn't there. And then, of course, that started them looking into things a little deeper and going, further and further. So, unfortunately, for many of you out there that are thinking, well, chocolate is good for you, if I have little bits here and there. No, it's not. The flavonoids that they're actually talking about, there are a couple of things. I'm not going to get too into detail for a couple of reasons. One, I don't know a whole shitload about flavonoids. And 2, neither do you. You can go look them up if you want to take a look at them. But basically, these are the little things that, I don't know if it's an enzyme or if it's a nutrient or it's a fatty acid or whatever it is. But these are the ones that everyone says, oh, these apparently help with, cardiovascular disease and blood pressure and cancer and, all respiratory, everything, just across the board. Now, it is true, cocoa does have it. Cocoa does. But here's the problem. When they start converting cocoa into chocolate, because there's the cocoa butter, which is the fat from cocoa, and then they start adding in milk and they start adding in sugar and everything else. In order for it to become palatable, they actually have to take the flavonoids out because they're extremely bitter. Which is why people say that the dark chocolate has more in it, because it does, because they don't take as many out. So when you're looking at it and going, well, these are obviously better for you, it's kind of like saying, these peanut butter, cups are better than these peanut butter cups. It's pretty much the same. They don't really have a lot going for them. So when they're actually in the process of making it into chocolate, they take all the flavonoids out and sometimes they'll put them back in, but it's generally, if it tastes good, then it's missing something, which is why the dark chocolate, because it's bitter, has more in it. Now, it is true that flavonoids do help you with a whole bunch of different things. However, it's not, finding it in chocolate is not the way to go. So there's a ton of things that have it. There's wine, blueberries, citrus fruits like oranges that we talked about. What was it? That was last week, actually. Pretty much any citrus fruit that way. What else? There was wine. Cocoa does have it. But there are different things you can get. Like there's, it's basically just the raw cocoa is what you want. If you actually want to get them, but it's very bitter. It's not very palatable. Cocoa powder gives you a good idea. It's just cocoa powder. Just pulverized cocoa. So if you've ever tasted cocoa powder, yes, it has quite a few flavonoids in there, but it's not the best way to do it. And if you're like me and you prefer white chocolate over regular chocolate, well, you're not getting anything because there's nothing in that. White chocolate is the same thing as regular chocolate. They just, it doesn't have, what is it? Actually, I think it's just they took all the flavonoids out. That's part of the reason why it's white. That's what it is. It's just made with the cocoa butter. It's not made with any of the cocoa brown. Can't remember the name of it. Cocoa fiber, I guess? Anyway. So, the main reason why I'm sort of bringing this up, I don't think that people sort of look at chocolate as being a superfood like they did with kale or any of the other stuff. It's just that we sort of grasp onto things as much as we can to sort of maintain those eating habits that we've had before, and chocolate is one of those. And I think everyone pretty much knows that grabbing a chocolate bar is not healthy for you. And I think a lot of people think it's just a matter of, no, it's a little piece of chocolate, it's like pure chocolate. And if it's dark chocolate, then it's actually good for you, just like wine is good for you. And to some extent, you can look at it and say, it's not as bad as a chocolate bar. It's still not great for us. I'm not here to vilify it or anything else. It's just one of those things. If you have chocolate cravings and you just go, I want chocolate, then yes, of course, go have it. The same thing that for any of you out there that are craving anything, we can have it from time to time. The difference is we can't have it all the time, which is what we've been doing. But looking at something that we know is bad for us, that is essentially just fat and sugar, with the flavonoids giving us flavor, deep down, you're like, this can't possibly be good for me. And no, it's not. Because there's a tremendous amount of sugar in it. There's a tremendous amount of fat in it. And you can get the same sort of level of stuff from parsley or from blueberries or from an orange. So it's fine to go through and say, okay, I'm going to have some chocolate because I'm really craving something sweet. I want chocolate. And it could be worse. I could be eating, gummy bears or, a chocolate bar or something like that. So having a little bit is okay. Obviously, don't eat an entire huge block of it because it's going to be bad. But don't feel guilty about having a little bit. It's just don't also lie to yourself and say, well, this is actually good for me, so it's okay. We're allowed to have those moments when we just say to hell with it and say, I'm not necessarily go over, but something that you haven't had in a very long time. If you're out with friends, for example, and you're just like, I really want a burger, so you grab a burger. Or not even just with friends, even if you're by yourself. there are going to be those moments when you have that craving and you think, I do want to have some. The key that we're trying to do over the course of this year is to get to a point where, we can do that from time to time, and it's okay because we're either burning it off or we're still below our calories, or the majority of the time we're eating healthier. We're eating fresh fruit and vegetables. We're eating, proper stuff. So having something every now and then is okay. The problem is that for the majority of us, myself, and I'll include myself in this with white chocolate because I'm not a huge fan of regular chocolate. But we don't have one piece of chocolate. We have a box of chocolates. That's where our problem lies, is that we don't stop. I was trying to figure out if I should say we can't stop, but we can. We've proven that we can. And it's really difficult. I mean, you have those moments when you're just like, I can't stop. Like, you can. If you were to say, okay, I'm going to put the top back and just take it away, because we've all done that at some point, gotten to a point where like, you have to take it away from me. I'm not going to be able to stop. But just like anything else, we talked about addictions before as well. With something like this, that's what our problem is. We can't just say, well, I'm going to have a little piece of chocolate. I don't want to say like little, like that's ridiculous. When you're having some, let's say it's, if it's just, we'll say like half a chocolate bar size. So it's still a tremendous amount of calories all at once. It's like 200-300 calories worth of chocolate, which the majority of it is going to come from fat and sugar, which is horrible for us. But it's still better than us eating that once a day, every day, which is what we've been doing for so long. And for the vast majority of us, it's never just one a day. We're either eating, a tremendous amount of candy or a tremendous amount of cheesy snacks or salty things, whatever your, crutch was that or is that a right proper term? I don't think so. I was going to say your Achilles heel, and then I started thinking of hobbling around on a crutch, but you're not actually leaning on it. Achilles heel sounds good. Whatever your preferred snack. There we go. I can't think of a good metaphor. Whatever your preferred snack was, for me it was salt. Every now and then I would grab something sugary, but generally it was going to be like sours or something, so there's still that, like sour gummies or something. But it was never a matter of saying, oh, well, I'm going to buy a little bag and have a couple out of it, and then through the course of a week, then, I finish those off. This was always a matter of buying a huge bag and eating almost all of them all at once, and then mixing in some salty stuff and then some sweets, and we all have eaten like that. And I know I'm getting off topic. I will get back to it. Bear with me just for a second. So, getting to a point where we can say, okay, if you're buying, say you buy a little block of chocolate somewhere, and if you're not eating it all in one sitting, that throughout, you save it, and throughout the week or over a couple of weeks, when you have a really strong craving, you can have a piece of it. It's not going to make or break your calories. It's not going to put you over. If it is going to put you over, then you might have to put up some willpower. But those are the sort, and I don't want to sort of say, okay, well, this is free reign to start snacking on whatever you want, because it's a very slippery slope. If I was to say, oh, well, you know what, I could have a bag of chips once in a while, and then that would just turn into once every few days, and then once every couple of days, and then as long as I have it just for my snack, then I don't do anything else. And then I just find myself eating those instead of a meal, and then I find myself eating those on top of a meal. So, we need to sort of stay on target the way that we're going. But I don't want you thinking that there's anything out there that you can look at and just say, I'm not allowed to have that. There are some things, we still have to account for it somehow. And we have been, over the past 5 months or so, we have been making much, much better choices in our snacks, where we're going for fruits and vegetables, or something that at least is better than what we've been doing before. And this is one of those things. Not that you have to, if you have a craving for chocolate, you don't have to get dark chocolate. It's very bitter and things like that. But if you think that you're at a stage where you can do that, then by all means. Because if you don't, if you keep withholding from yourself, you are going to hit a breaking point and you're going to binge. And once you get to that point, you're just going to say, screw it, I'm done, and you're going to end up losing a lot of ground that you've made so far. Anyway, that should have been a topic for another day. Let's get back to the chocolate thing. Because I'm sure some of you are still fuming about this. Because I know a lot of people that really, really like chocolate. And the news that it was good for them, they were so ecstatic. Because they thought, this is great. There's actually a benefit to it. There really isn't. Even with all the flavonoids and everything else that are involved in it, it's not a benefit. It's still just candy. So it's at least if we can acknowledge that it's candy, then fine, have a piece of candy. It's okay. The problem is, like I say, for the majority of us, we don't stop at one. We have a whole handful, and then we have another one, and another one, and another one, until we get sick and throw up, and everything's bad. But this is just another one of those things that sort of grates on me when you have people that, and it's not just because it was funded by, a chocolate company. It wouldn't have mattered if it was through them or through, anyone else. It's just that it's one of those things that, because it's come through them and they haven't bothered to continue on with that. After that study earlier in 2015, they just went, no, everything's great. It's a benefit. And then people started going, no, there's not. We poked holes in it and you were wrong with this. And Mars has basically just gone, nope, we're standing by our research. And they haven't really continued on, which just like Coke did with the sugary drinks, not being the cause of obesity and things like that. At least whether or not you agree with it, at least you understand from a corporate level why they're doing what they're doing. Of course, they aren't going to go back on it and say, no, it's really bad for you. Although, you know what? If a company was to actually come forward and just say, we have made a great food, it's terrible for you, but it tastes awesome, I'd probably be more inclined to buy that. Anyway, with something like this, it's regardless as to whether it's done by a company or by an independent study or whoever is doing it, there's no one food that we're ever going to come across that is going to be that, powerhouse of vitamins and minerals and nutrients and everything else, where it's going to be low calorie and high fiber and low sodium and low sugar, but it's going to taste great. It just doesn't work that way. And when we first started this a few months ago, we knew right from the onset it was going to be difficult. There are going to be those moments when, you're going to go nuts and you want something. We knew that there were going to be those times when we were really going to have to push through and work hard at what we're trying to do. There's never been any moment when I said, oh, well, this is going to be easy. You're going to be able to do this. And, don't worry. You'll be I have said, don't worry, you will be fine. And we have been. Because we've made such tiny little changes day by day, I think for the most part, we've been okay. You've made it 5 months. That says something. But there's never been any time when I said, okay, well, when we get past this point, then it's just smooth sailing from now on. This is something we have to deal with forever. And the fact that we need to accept that, I think, is a huge step for us. In that, for me anyway, knowing that this isn't a temporary thing, that I'm going to have to keep doing this for the rest of my life, in a way, has sort of made this a little easier to accept. Because I'm not counting down to anything. I'm not thinking, well, okay, I've got 7 months left, and then I'm done, and I don't have to do this anymore. Which makes those changes a little easier, because I know that I'm going to drool all over myself. Because I know that as these progress, these are changes that I need to stay permanent. So I need them to be good changes. I need them to be things that I'm comfortable with, and that you're comfortable with, and things that we know we can keep up. So this is part of it. Saying that you're never going to be able to have candy again is ridiculous. You know that it's not going to work. You know that at some point, you're going to want something sweet. The difference is that at that stage, once we get there, and I'm not there yet, but once we get to that stage where you can say, yes, I can have a snack. I can have some junk food once in a while. But when you say once in a while, it means once in a while. Like every couple of months you can go and you don't care. You're just going to have some junk food. You're going to go see a movie. You're going to have popcorn while you're there, or you're going to have Reese's Pieces or whatever it is that you eat when you're there. Just don't talk in the movie. That's rude. Anyway, I don't know what I'm reaching for over here. There's nothing there. So getting to that point where you can say, yeah, every once in a while. The problem is where we are right now, for me anyway, and I suspect for you as well, every once in a while is just basically means whenever I want. And that's something that we still have to work towards. I mean, I'm all over the place with this one. This was originally intended to sort of say, chocolate's great. No, it's not. So, yeah, chocolate is not great. It's not good for you. But it's not horrible. It's not, just pure sugar. There are some good things. It's better than eating gummy bears. We'll put it that way. Gummy bears are just nothing but sugar. So we'll put it in perspective that way. Nowhere near as good as an apple or blueberries or anything else that you can think of that way. But they're better than horrible other junk foods. So keep things in perspective. That's what we're going to go for. I've probably gone way... And I have 20 minutes again. Anyway, that's pretty much what I sort of want to talk about. I know some of you might be angry and saying, no, you're wrong. It's dark chocolate is good for you and everything else. I'm going to put some links in the description below to prove my point. And one of which is actually from Dr. Jessen again. And just to show you that, it's not to say, oh, well, chocolate's horrible. You can never have it. It's a junk food and everything's bad. We know it's a junk food, but we have to accept that it's a junk food. And say, you know what? It's still better than just the, like a jujube or something. I keep going to sticky gummy things, and I don't know why. Pick some candy. It doesn't matter what. It's still better than that because there are like 2 or 3 good things in it. But again, overall, if you compare the same size chocolate to the same size bite of apple or something, or pick a fruit that you really, really enjoy, fruit's always going to come out on top, or the vegetable, or whatever it is that you're picking. It's going to come out on top every single time. So in cases like this, use your common sense, use your head. You understand, that, I'm starting to fumble on my words now. You know that when someone says, oh, well, this is actually good for you. It's not. We know it isn't. But we so badly want to believe that we will lie to ourselves. But it's okay to have something that's bad for you once in a while. As long as we aren't going over on our calories and later on our sodium, our fat, our sugar, all that stuff. Every once in a while, when you have that craving, you'll be able to have a little something. And it'll be okay. It's not going to break your diet. It's not going to, undo a week's work. As long as you don't eat the entire box like we have been in the past, you're probably going to be okay. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to stop this here because otherwise I'm going to repeat myself and do another whole 20 minutes, and then you're going to get bored and you're not going to listen to it anyway. So I'll stop this here. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.